Well, we are live here in Yonkers. I don't want to disclose the location because I don't want no one to come here and disturb us. But in front of me I have Jim Nolan and Donna Nolan, parents of Mike Nolan, the young athlete that was killed about 5 years ago. Am I right on the date?
That's correct.
Now, there is lots of people that talk about issues, but not from the point of view of the angle that they experienced it, but things that they read. You two can talk about things from both angles. From the angle of parents of somebody who suffered from this, from the point of view that you guys were impacted emotionally from those things, and yesterday you actually experienced what Michael experienced in the last moments of his life when he heard those shots ring. You were there, so you know how scared he was when
Cowards.
when he heard those shots.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, tell us, what did you feel? You were in a parking lot where that happened, correct?
Yes. We just finished watching a lifeguard saving a kid drowning. 10 minutes later, like after when she saved the kid, everybody was clapping, everybody was having a good time. And we were leaving the pool, and I left the gate, and I'm like, where's Donna? She was saying goodbye to her girlfriend's kid. 5 shots rang out. Bullets went flying down towards my way, and I ran back. I told Donna get behind the double doors, and people were just running around, hitting the deck, parents looking for their kids. It was this chaos. There had at least be about 350 kids, 600 to 700 people in the pool, okay? And it was a county cop walking around, all right? Everybody saw his gun. The park rangers, they're doing this. They don't care anymore. They're doing this at pools now. You know, we got laws out there. Politicians need to start getting these judges to start putting these people away. And I got Donna behind. Everybody's on the phone with 911. Like, parents were fighting each other because kids were being trampled. And now the parents are fighting the other parents because people have ran into their kid. So we shut the doors. The park ranger, we went running outside to see if anybody was shot. There was a bunch of kids running down. We told them to keep running, go behind the double doors and stay there. We went out there. There was shells on the floor, and we just waited for the police to come.
Now, Jim, how many shots did you actually heard?
I heard 5 shots.
You heard about 5 shots. And did you see the shooters?
No, I did not see the shooters.
You did. So were they behind the car? This happened, just so people understand, this happened in a parking lot.
Right at the top, like as when you're coming out and you come up the ramp, and as soon as you get to the top of the ramp, and then you have your parking lots to your right there.
Now, we were there when one of the suspects was already inside the police cruiser. I'm sure there is more than one suspect because bullets were flying from one side to the other. Do you know if the second suspect was captured at the scene?
I just from what we heard last night that they apprehended the suspects. They didn't get into any more
Specifics.
than that. Yeah.
They had helicopters there, squat, was about 4 squat trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it had at least be 150 cops to 200 cops. Everybody was there. Love your police. Love your police. Can't be defunding cops.
But what you have to say about those that pass laws, Jim? You know, laws are passed by a body. Cops only enforce. I have spoken to many cops. They say, look, we arrest them, but the next day they're on the street, and we don't control that part of the judicial system. Somebody is releasing them. Laws are passed. Police has no other option but enforce the laws as is. What do you think about that? About that? Donna?
Sad. I mean, we have in the state of New York, we've talked about this several times. In 2006, Governor Cuomo passed, if you get caught with an illegal gun, it's a mandatory 3.5 to 5 years, but we don't follow that. Now we have bail reform. We're just letting them out. And this, you know, this has nothing to do with the coronavirus. This has been going on for the longest time, and it's just getting worse now because of the bail reform, because of all of this now with defunding police. They know that if they get arrested, they're going to be right back out on the street. Exactly what you said. The police are doing it. They're locking them up. But unfortunately, because of the laws that we have now, they're back out on the street within a couple of hours or the next day. Yesterday was scary. And like you said,
Thank God my granddaughter went to bed.
oh, thank God. But
She's in the
seeing
Dominican
parents
Republic.
running and grabbing their kids and kids crying and kids on the floor because parents can't grab them. They got 2 or 3 kids and they're trying to grab their kids and then they're fighting. I get it. You know, your kid gets knocked over, but it was scary. And exactly what you said. I just hearing those gunshots and seeing the panic and the fear in people's faces was horrible.
You know, Jim, your granddaughter wasn't there. But you know what? Lots of other people's granddaughters
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
there.
Infants.
Other infants, people's daughters and sons were there.
Yeah.
And now they're going to understand that the impact of a shooting is not just on the person that got shot, there is emotional impact on those kids that are going there. They're going to have to live with that for the rest of their life.
There was at one point where we were all like, we were in the parking lot and we were on lockdown, and I, had to use the bathroom, so they had left the bathrooms open. So there was like four or five adults, and we took a bunch of kids. And this one little boy, as we were going in, he was like, "I'm afraid to go in." I said, "Don't be afraid. We're all going to stay together." And he was like, "Yeah, but what if somebody's in there and they have a gun?" And I was like, "Nobody's in there. We're good. The police are making sure everybody's safe." But here's a little boy. He couldn't have been no more than 7 years old, and he was afraid to go to the bathroom because of this, and that bothered me. So through all of this, and like the group that was up at Sprain in the parking lot, like we all were together.
All the mothers.
Like all the mothers were
Mothers,
together, making
grandmothers.
sure the grandmothers, mothers, making sure that the kid, I mean, here you have now kids have been at the pool all day.
They were
Now
mad.
it's total chaos. They have to get out of there. Now they're trapped in the car. So you're trying to make the kids like play or whatever, keep them busy.
And now they had little cones all over the place. Like they found bullet casings underneath cars.
Yeah.
So the cars couldn't be moved. So they put a
There's
park
cones all
ranger
over.
there with a cone,
Yeah, they-
It's, something, Ben, I've been involved in a lot of chaos, disasters, ground zero. I never panicked, nothing. I didn't panic yesterday. But you see tears in my eyes today is because I look at like the next day it hits me, like the impressions on kids' faces and parents. We don't deserve to live like this. You got politicians out there, they run quality of life. It's going down, vote for me, vote for me. We vote these people in. Quality of life is going way down. It's not because of the coronavirus. We're just letting everybody run around do what they want. Like up in Albany, they got a bill up there, a retirement plan for murderers. You got 25 to life, 20 to life. You did 20 years and you're 55. They want to let them out. These people committed murder. I had a stroke over my son's death. My wife had 3 strokes. She cried so much she pulled muscles around her heart twice. Hospitalized 5 times over this. We could stop this. You get caught with an illegal gun, they need to go away for 3.5 years. It's a law. Como signed it. Yesterday morning, every morning we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going through the news, CNN, all of them. Yesterday morning, this is what I got, okay? We just finished talking about this. This is the only 1,000 shootings we know about. The year's not over yet, okay? And then you got Blasio, I call him dumbass, blaming it on the coronavirus. No, it's because of how you run your city and what you did to your police.
But Jim, I have to interject that. Yes, I got it. You don't like de Blasio. I don't like him much either, okay? But there is shootings going anywhere, everywhere.
You're right, Ben.
This seems to be something that it's in fact, this is worse than the coronavirus.
Because they know there's no consequence. caught, they're going to either get out on their own R&R, they're getting out, and they're just back on the streets until either their court date comes up, and they know that. So it doesn't faze them. It doesn't. Ben, this was 5:30, 5:40 yesterday. The pool closes at 6. Mothers are getting their kids ready. Come on, we're going to go home. We're going to eat. But this could have been so much worse. And thank God it wasn't.
No doubt,
Thank
Donna.
God it wasn't. But they don't care. This just goes to show you that if they got a gun, they're taking it out, and I'm going to shoot whoever. I don't care who I hit.
That this happened at the time that the pool is closing in the
Yeah.
parking lot. Whole bunch of kids coming out, parents coming out.
Coming in and out, getting ready to go home.
Bullets
Yeah.
have no name. They
No.
go from one point A to point B. They don't care who they hit. They hit whoever they hit. So this could have turned out much worse.
Much
But
worse.
now let me just take a time to say that the pool itself is not the jurisdiction of the Yonkers Police Department. Is Westchester County Police Department sits.
Yeah.
Okay, and help, because they were all over the park with the guns drawn, looking, helicopters. So this was a together. Westchester County Police and Yonkers PD looking for the suspect. We know this cruiser. I don't know if the second one was.
Yeah.
I believe he was. So tell me anything else, Jim. You know,
I think this.
Yeah, you know
it was
what's
weird
scary?
just watching when you seen like all the, I guess they were county and Yonkers and full gear and
State
just
troopers.
state troopers were up there, but watching there had to be I'd say about 20 of them, and they're all walking and they're going into the woods, and I'm thinking,
With greyhounds.
like this
Now-
is
Donna, you and I have been talking for the last 5 years.
yeah.
Okay, I have been at many, rallies in front of the city hall in Yonkers. I have spoken to many parents, but there is one thing that it's lacking. It's the action. Okay, yes, they show up there for pictures. You know, they're nice, but look, the rallies for police reform. You know, they got some results because they were persistence on the demands. Why on the mothers persistence
I think what
for the demands?
I feel what happens is a lot of them either get their arrest and they feel, okay, you know, my child is gone and an arrest has been made. Others have, some cases haven't been solved and they don't have an arrest, so they're focused more on that. And it's sad because, listen, yes, Michael is gone. I'm going on 5
He's
years.
still here, Donna.
And I had an arrest, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be out there and be outspoken about what is going on. How many more innocent, I mean, you've seen it in the past, 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Every day you pick up the newspaper, turn on the news,
Yeah.
there's more and more people being killed by illegal guns, and it's
over
frustrating.
the last 5 years, we've been out speaking about this. What happened yesterday, this is what we're trying to avoid. Any of those kids could have got hit. I could have got hit with a bullet. My wife could have got hit with a bullet. We were in the line of fire. This is what has to stop. And these politicians, they talk a lot of talk, not enough of walk, okay? They need to stop this. They could stop this. They need, no, you want to murder somebody or try attempted murder? No bail. No bail. People will cop on. And they're not going to do
Even
it.
if you just even get caught with an illegal gun, follow the laws that Cuomo signed into effect. You know, in 2006, I watched him sign it. You get caught with an illegal gun, it's 3. We don't even do that.
But you know, maybe in part is because we probably have to share the blame a little bit on that, Donna. We, when I say we, I mean, okay, we need probably to start doing some rallies in front of district attorneys, AGs, elected officials. Say, no, this is happening because of you, because the laws are not strong enough to put those people away.
Yeah.
I personally understand the bail reform. I understand, but I also think that for certain crimes,
For certain crimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm not saying the
You don't
kid that
put
you
someone-
pick up on the corner because he's selling a bag of pot, we're going to
Or robbing a
prosecute
pair of
to him
sneakers,
to
but-
the
Exactly.
fullest extent. But when you
Murder.
get a kid that's
Attempted
got
murder.
he shot off a gun and Whether he hit someone or not, he still shot off a
Ben-
gun. You get
Ben, they don't
then
care
why?
anymore. They don't care anymore. They used to do this at night. They're doing this at pool sites now, basketball courts. This could hit anybody.
But
These bullets.
the parents and citizens need to understand that the next bullet that is fired could be directed at you. Maybe today, yeah, if you rally, you're rallying for somebody else's, you know, that lost his life, but you're also rallying for you because that next bullet could be hitting you or family members
Yeah.
of yours.
I always say it until, everybody says, oh, I understand how you feel. No, you don't. Because unless it actually affects you, unless
Yeah.
you've actually had your loved one
Murdered.
or even affected by gun violence, you don't understand.
Michael
but
was
that
our best
doesn't mean
friend.
that you shouldn't be out there because you still are a mother, you're a grandmother, you're an aunt,
This could happen.
anybody. Why people aren't more outraged? I think a lot of people are, but I think that they just a lot of the elected officials just take it as, it's gun violence, it's gangs, it's this, it's that. There's always an excuse for it.
And we're going to keep speaking out about it because we don't want the especially kids.
What happened
This is-
yesterday was just,
Now, Donna, you are a very outspoken person about this. You articulate the issue very clearly. If somebody doesn't understand what you're saying, it's because they don't want to understand what you're saying.
because it hasn't affected them.
It hasn't affected
But
them.
she has a mother's group, the Forgotten
Wait,
Mothers,
let
with
me-
8,500
Yes, I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
Now, have you reached to any of those elected officials and said, listen, come on, enough is enough. You need to do something.
Yeah.
Don't just think about your votes. Think about the people in Yonkers or whatever place you
They're
are.
very outspoken about it. Very outspoken
And
about it.
what have they said? What do they say?
You get the same thing. I understand, we have to work on it. The bail reform has to be changed. We have to change this, we have to change that. But when you were actually sitting and reading the bail reform and looked and seen certain things that were on there, in good conscience, you really felt that that was a good idea? Again, I'm not saying you have to prosecute to the fullest extent. Listen, there are people that get arrested and shouldn't be arrested, but when you're talking about taking a gun,
Yeah, it's
a
someone's
knife,
life.
and you either murder someone or you physically harm that person, that is,
And what
there's no
gets me
excuse for
aggravated
that.
is then they'll turn around and say, oh, I didn't read the bill. So why'd you sign on to the bill? Why?
Well,
You're not doing your job.
Isn't that the first thing they tell us?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And these are big politicians up in Albany. I didn't read the bill. So who read the bill? Why'd you sign the bill? Why?
Your name is attached to it.
Yeah.
So
But-
in other words, they are telling us they are a little bit incompetent because
Yes.
they are signing bills
Yep.
that they have not
Yep.
read or understood.
Yeah. And this is not fake news. Yonkers Voice is not fake news. This is real news. I want everybody to know that.
Thank you, thank you. We try the best to give as it is. Maybe our English is not that good. Maybe my writing needs a little improvement. But
Well,
what
you're
you
doing a hell of
see,
a job.
what you see, it's what
That's
happened.
it.
What happened? Donna, tell us about this group of yours. Are you still there?
Just a group of moms who have all lost our children to illegal guns.
What do they
And
say? What
I mean, opinions and you do all of that, but again, and I'll say it, and I'm not trying to take away from mass shootings, and I've said it to you before. It seems that when there's that mass shooting by that one person that takes 10 people at once, everybody's in an outrage. We want laws changed and tougher gun laws. New York has the toughest gun laws. We don't have mass shootings. According to Governor Cuomo, we don't have mass shootings. But you know what? When you see what's going on here, those are mass shootings, except they're being done with illegal guns. And it's like nobody wants to talk about the illegal gun problem that we have.
Well, I think the governor is wrong on that. It's a mass
It's a
shooting.
mass shooting. Just because one person doesn't do it does not mean it's not a mass shooting.
And what gets me aggravated too is when they're speaking, it was a stray bullet. It was intended to that person. Are you
For their intended
like
target.
they think it's okay? No, that's a human being who died. They got a mother, they got a father, they got kids.
Yeah, intended or not, you killed that person.
Yeah.
I mean, this past summer,
And
so
when you
far,
shot your gun, was not one, was intending to kill.
And we have another problem with ghost guns. And you got politicians in Washington who has stock in ghost guns. I mean, it has to stop.
You can stop it.
You can.
You just have to you have to be tougher on the laws that we have.
Guns
Again,
don't kill, people kill.
You could sign all the bills you want, but unless you enforce those laws, they're just pieces of paper with your name on it, and they mean nothing. They don't mean anything. If you're not going to enforce these laws to protect innocent people and let people have a better quality of life, then really,
That drives me
it's just
crazy
a piece
when
of paper with your
politicians
name on
run
it.
it. Quality of life.
Yeah,
quality
we
of
see
life.
what goes
They
on
get
all
in and
over
they
the
do nothing.
place. I mean, you see, Bronx and Brooklyn are the worst. They really are. I mean, you know what? I know a lot of people say stuff about Yonkers, but and it's just because you have to watch everything you say. Me personally, I feel that Yonkers, to me, is a safe place. Does it have some stuff that goes on? Yes, it does, but not like you see in other cities.
Definitely. I have interviewed the police commissioner, John Mueller,
Yeah.
a few times. And I have told him, I think that Yonkers has a great police department.
Yeah.
Are they perfect? No, it's not perfect. And the commissioner realizes that, and he says that there is room for improvement. But looking at the entire nation, we have a good police
We have a good
department.
police department. You have a good administration. The mayor
And-
backs his police department.
and they
when they're
do.
wrong, they're wrong. They're wrong, they're wrong. But we do, on an average, have a very good police department. We have an administration that works with their police department. And I think that has a lot to do with it. When your administration is not backing your police department, then that just makes everybody else go against them. Like you said, are there ones that I think everybody has bad ones. It's always going to be a bad apple. You get rid of them. That's what you do. But on an average, I think Yonkers is very
Donna,
safe.
I tell people all the time, on our own families, our individual families, 5, 10 people, we always find one or two
Yeah.
that are not that great. So imagine where there is thousands of police officers, you're always going to find one or two that could be a little better.
Yeah.
But that's a very small percentage, and we cannot judge the entire police department because of the actions of one or two.
No.
I would say.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday when you saw the county police arrived at the scene and Yonkers Police Department arrived at the scene, how were they when they were engaging with the people that were there, like you
You
said?
know what? I
Safe
said
group.
that. Someone asked me that. And yet
They were talking to the kids.
they would talk,
Feel comfortable.
comfortable and feel safe. And the response from the people in the crowd
The mothers
was
were
good.
mad.
They were mad.
Yeah,
They were letting the
mad.
cops know we're mad. We don't want to live like this.
we
This
can't
is
bring my
ridiculous.
kids to
But
the pool.
their
And we're having
reception to the
gunfight?
police was very good. They were
And these is people in general, not
Yeah.
black people, white people,
Just people in
Every
these
nationality.
concerned parents.
just
Yeah,
concerned
concerned
parents
parents.
and
Every
all, but
nationality.
even they were there was none of that, they were, if you seen anything, people were voluntarily going up and saying, listen, I seen this, I seen that, or, they were towards the end of the night, yeah, it's getting dark, kids are hungry, people are like, listen, we want to go home now, but everybody was very understanding on what the police were doing
Everybody
and
was
how they
working
were
together,
conducting. And it,
giving their
No.
soldiers.
Yeah.
This happened exactly at 5:40, 5:45. First police were there within minutes. Within minutes.
To me,
Yeah.
Ben, it seemed like like a long time, but they got
You
there
lost track
fast.
of time. Once you're in a situation,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's how long it happened.
Yeah.
And
Right.
within minutes, they had one
Yeah.
suspect in
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah.
Now, you left PM.
Yeah. 10 o'clock, quarter to 10.
Why
quarter
it
to
took
10.
so long?
'Cause
Police
they,
were making sure that
I
they would
guess
speak
they-
with everyone.
I guess they
They
would
had
be,
a car at the end, right?
They had a
were
car at
taking
the
all-
end. They
all
were
of them out.
taking them out, and then they were just making sure that everything was secure. And then they would just one by one, and then they were checking everybody's IDs.
And there was a woman there. She was saying her mother was a diabetic. The officer said, "I do first aid.
If
Where's
you
your
need
mother?"
it, yeah.
He went up there. I don't know what happened. I walked away. Then there was another mother and daughter. They took her away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
She
no-
lived in Mount Vernon. She had chest pains or
Chest
something.
pains, yeah.
You know.
So law enforcement were very polite,
Oh, yeah.
professional, and courteous on how they handled it.
Yeah.
Now we have to conclude the interview, Jim. Is there anything that perhaps you want to bring up, or you, Donna?
We need to go after these politicians. We need to, because this could happen to your family. Never say this will never happen to your family. I never thought my son Michael would ever, none of my kids would have been murdered. Donna? I mean, Donna talks to mothers on her group where they want to.
I really just wish. And listen, in an ideal world, we'd have no violence, but unfortunately, that's never going to happen.
We don't live in a
We don't
ideal
live in an
world.
ideal world. I just wish that all these politicians up in Albany really take into consideration this bail reform. Look at the ones that, the repeat offenders that you are allowing to come back out into the streets. And again, like we always say, if you know someone, if you or someone you know has an illegal gun, get it off the streets. No argument is worth what the argument was about. You have to take out a gun in that,
To
in
do
any
that.
situation, but in that situation with all those kids there, kids, grandmothers, mothers, aunts, just there was no excuse for it.
But you know, Donna, I'm going to tell you the other sad part of this. I saw one of the suspects, and that suspect was another kid.
A kid.
Just a kid.
Just a
like
kid.
the other kids that were running
Yeah.
around. I was looking at his picture really close. I would say the kid, 14, 13, 14, 15, I'm not sure, but pretty young. Now, Donna, I'm going to throw something at you that I have done in the past. People react on emotion. People react when they hear people that have been impacted by shootings and things like these. Perhaps you want to talk to the mothers and say, let's do a round table. Let's talk about how this has impacted each one of us and our surrounding families. Perhaps we can motivate others.
Others, yeah.
Actions, not words, is what counts. We need to do something. We need to be inconvenienced sometimes and go and walk and go
Yeah.
and rally and talk.
Regardless of, I mean, as mothers, regardless of whether you've been affected by this or not, as a mother, you want to protect your children. Get involved. Get involved.
Get
Be
involved.
outspoken. Be out there demanding change and demanding action, and you want. Demand that. Be upset. Be mad that that 15-year-old kid is now dead because of somebody with an illegal gun. Regardless of whether you were affected or not, don't ever say it's not going to happen to me because I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You know what? I did all those things.
Yeah.
So did every one of those kids, all those mothers at the pool yesterday were all
They
doing
were
what they were
mad.
supposed to do. Letting their kids, watching their kids, having a good time with their kids. And the next thing you know, they're running for cover and they're trying to protect their kids. That's
Donna,
not.
many years ago, there was, I believe, a New York Post reporter that was doing a little study, he calls it, on problems. And he was asking people around New York City, hey, sir, can you tell me, what do you think is the problem with our society? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to be interviewed. All this. Then he came to a point that he asked a man, and the man said, listen, man, I don't give a shit, and I don't care. The guy turned around and said, you are right. The problem with our society is exactly that. I don't care and I don't give a shit. Unless you
It
are a
affects you.
victim of
Yep.
that.
You know what affects you? You won't.
Jim.
You won't.
Display that.
You won't. People will pick and choose what they want to fight against. Say, well, you know, that hasn't happened to me, so I'm not going to get involved in it. You know, so I'm not going to deal with it. But okay, but you have kids and you have grandchildren and you have nieces and nephews. I have nieces and nephews out there. I have a granddaughter.
And when your niece, your son, your daughter becomes involved, now you want the support from those that
That
were not
have
the
a-
victim to help you with
And
your cause.
No.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.